There are clearly good movies and clearly bad movies, but sometimes we'd like to get all of our friends together in one place and shake our asses to a TikTok dance in order to find everything else that's in the middle. This is good, bad, good.
Been asking about flirting. Yes, it happens. Physical touch is, of course, off the table. So what I would recommend is making sweet eyes at each other.
You got this, Lauren. Lauren. I think something's up with Lauren.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Good, Bad, Good. I am Travis, and I am going to be your host today. I am a director and producer. With me, as always, is...
Brian, and I am a video editor.
And...
I'm Kylene Amai, and I'm an actor and a writer.
Yes. So how are we doing today? How are we feeling?
Sweaty and fantastic.
I'm feeling bubblicious.
Oh,
Yeah.
bubblicious.
Yeah.
I'm not. Fuck you, Judd Apatow.
If you can't tell by...
That escalated quickly.
If you can't tell by the title of this episode or what Kai and Brian are
I
saying.
think the title of this episode should be Fuck You, Judd Apatow. That was literally the first note I wrote down. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Today we are going to be looking at the... Is it 2022? Or did it come out last year?
It was
I think it was this year.
2022.
We were
Yeah,
so
it's this year.
The 2022 film The Bubble, written and directed by Judd Apatow. And before we dive into how we feel about it or our verdicts on it, we need to get a plot synopsis out there for you all. So, hey Google, what is the plot synopsis of the movie The Bubble?
Here's the synopsis of The Bubble. Sneaking out, hooking up, melting down. The cast and crew of a blockbuster action franchise attempt to shoot a sequel while quarantining at a posh hotel.
Thank you,
Okay.
Google.
Sneaking
I feel
out,
like,
hooking up, melting down.
Yeah.
You're very welcome, Travis.
So yeah, she like threw some swagger in that plot synopsis. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
Hooking
Google's
up.
yeah. Sneaking out.
yeah.
These actors are hooking up and sneaking out.
They're
Just
having
another
a
day
milk
in the
jab.
bubble.
Google gets sexy on you.
So, how do we feel about this movie? The options could be a good, bad movie or a bad, good movie. And I think we could go with Brian first.
So I wrote down that I think this is a bad, good movie.
Interesting. Okay. And Kai?
Can we say come back to me?
Sure. We'll
Oh,
circle back.
wait,
No,
can
we'll
I-
circle back.
Can I decide by the end of our conversation? I feel like
No.
there's a part of
No.
me that is like,
No.
this is a bad, good movie. And
You
then
need to
I'm
make a decision and then maybe change your mind. I think.
bad. No, okay.
Not an
all right.
option.
Then I will make the decision that this is a bad, good movie.
Okay, good. And I will also agree
Holy
with
shit.
Kai and say that... Oh, wait, no.
We all agreed.
No. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. Take it back. I think this is a good, bad movie.
Okay, wow.
All right.
Ballsy statement.
Cool. So we're going to be breaking down the movie by 3 different categories. The first up is going to be plot and story. So, thoughts on the plot / story / script / writing
My first note.
/ improv / things that are said by the
How many slashes can we have? Come on, Cordell Stewart.
/ plot devices?
So my first note.
I didn't get that joke.
Cordell
I
Stewart.
don't know that
You know
either.
Cordell Stewart?
Yeah,
He was a
who's-
quarterback for the Steelers
Oh.
back in like the 90s. They called him Slash because he was a quarterback / wide receiver / all these different things.
Again,
Oh,
Brian
got
is
it. I wasn't
old.
born yet, Brian.
Oh my God. I hate you guys so much. I hate you guys so much.
For the listeners out there, I'm just kidding. I was born in the 90s. So it's just a joke because Brian's 50.
Minus a little bit.
Just kidding. He's 47.
44. No, I'm not. I'm not even that old. Anyway, before I got sidetracked, I was going to say the first note that I wrote down is off the top, I love and hate the idea of a movie being made in a pandemic and like about a pandemic, because I think it was kind of funny to see the actors put into this bubble or whatever, but also we're not far enough out of the pandemic that I want to watch things about a pandemic. So I kind of hated it, but also liked the general idea of it. The general idea I liked.
Agreed. My first note was, this is so weird to see COVID like displayed in a movie. Like because we're still like dealing with it. I mean, no, I not kind of like we're still dealing with it. Like obviously we're on like the tail end of it, and we've been through like the worst of it. But like we're still dealing with it. We're still seeing people with masks. We're still seeing people get tested, even on film sets. Like it's still a requirement for film sets. Yeah, it's just so weird, and like I think that set up this like hurdle that the film needed to pass of like, you're gonna talk about COVID, it better be worth it. Like it better be, like these jokes better be worth it to have us deal with this like trauma that we're kind of dealing with like right now, as opposed to just providing entertainment about something else that's not COVID related. But it's interesting that like in one of the other episodes that we did, we covered Windfall, which was also shot during the pandemic, and it's like just interesting to see how these two very different films were shot and produced like during the pandemic. And yeah, I think that's all that I had to say. Kai is ready to just attack the microphone.
Slice it up like some football player in the 90s.
Slash.
Oh, what did I
Slice.
say?
Slice it up.
I'm gonna cut a rug like some dancer in the 40s. Okay.
Who's the old one now? Jeez.
Kai, all right, for the listeners out there, Kai's actually 62.
Yeah.
She's currently dealing with a back problem.
62 and cackling like an old lady.
My back.
You just sounded like a goose. Okay. I just to go off what you guys were saying, I didn't actually mind that it was in the pandemic, about the pandemic. That didn't bother me. I actually, on the flip side of that, I would like to see more movies about the pandemic, because film and story for me is catharsis, and I want somebody to make it and to write it so that I go, yes, this is what I'm dealing with right now, and it's fucking scary and it's fucking hard. But I don't think that anybody has yet, because nobody really knows how to, because we're still in it. I do feel like, though, I do agree with you, Travis, in the like, this needs to be justified. Like, if we're gonna make a comedy about such a tragic thing, then these jokes and it better be good. Like, it's got to be justified. I wrote down I think my biggest overall note, which has to do with the plot and story in general, is it couldn't accomplish the satire it wanted to be. And I will say I enjoyed the first hour of the movie. I was laughing, but then it got too much. It's like by the second time they did like the TikTok video, I was like, okay, we get it. You've used that joke. And then they did it a third time, and like
they did 3 TikTok videos.
Weren't there 3 TikTok videos?
Brian, did they do 3 TikTok videos?
Or were there only 2?
There was the one
There's the
full
one in the
cast
beginning.
where the full cast does the dances, where the guy from Game of Thrones, I forget what that actor's name is, ends up like they think he's dead and they whatever. But then like she does it.
No, there was one before that.
I don't remember. She does a couple.
There was one at the very beginning.
Like the TikTok influencer does a couple on her own. I just don't remember.
So I gotta admit something really quick though before we go back to you, Kai, because I know that the listeners out there come to us for the facts and hard hitting journalistic reviews of these movies. Like, they depend on us. They need us. We are the voice of reason in the film
Some might say we're the voice of a generation.
Because we're all so well known.
Yes. And I just feel like I need to be completely transparent and say that I took a solid 20-minute nap in the middle of this movie. I am not proud of it, but the listeners out there demand my honesty and my transparency, and I would be wrong if I did not provide that to them.
Yes, well, I will also then say I fell asleep.
Oh my God.
2 hours and 20 minutes into this movie, woke up towards the
It was
end.
only a 2-hour
and
movie,
thought,
though.
2 hours. It was
no,
not.
oh, sorry, 1
Oh.
hour and 20 minutes. It was a
Okay.
2 hour and 4 minute movie. I wrote that down because I was like, how long is this thing?
Yeah.
And look, I should go back and say, you know, I've said fuck you, Judd Apatow a couple times in this, but honestly, I think I enjoy a lot of what he creates.
Mr. Apatow, if you're listening, please hire her.
Yes, please hire me. I've seen your stand-up several times. I could become one of your daughters if you want me to. My dad is dead. You know, I'll take you on. But no, I often appreciate what he's attempting to do, and I don't often feel like it's executed quite right. Or yeah. And I definitely felt that about this, that like it couldn't accomplish the satire it wanted to be, because for one thing, the thing that it doesn't poke fun of enough I believed, was like the expense of this movie was probably ridiculous, right? To make this movie.
Like the cost, you mean?
The cost of this
Wait,
movie
are you talking
must have
about
been
to make
astronomical.
the bubble, or to make the movie that they're making inside of?
No, to make
Okay.
the bubble,
Cliff B6.
but they're not actually making fun of the cost of this within the actual movie about the movie that they're making. And I like
you really think it costs a lot?
I
The
would have
cast
thought so.
alone
One
must have cost a
location.
lot for all those people.
Yeah, thank you. And then they're doing green screen. They're doing all this technical stuff. They're doing, because they go back and forth. They're doing, I mean,
if we could find the budget.
if we can find a budget.
but
That
continue.
was my assumption.
Yeah.
So you're right. You should look it up. But it wasn't made fun of enough, and I just and by the end of it, I felt like in the beginning, I was like, okay, we're like making fun of the fact that these Hollywood starlets are like, oh, but our life is so challenging in this bubble in the midst of the pandemic, right? But in the end of it, I felt like we were actually supposed to feel for the characters. And I was still like, no, I don't feel for these characters. Now I feel like we're whacking off Hollywood and the nepotism that exists within it. And I was just like, I don't care anymore. Like, the last thing I want to do is sympathize with this, right? I was living in a shit studio apartment in the middle of Hollywood during all of this, scraping by, you know? So there was something about it that by the end I was just like, ugh.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I'm kind of with you, like you said earlier, like the first hour or so, whatever it was. Also, for the sake of transparency, I should probably admit that I did not fall asleep while watching this movie, but
Oh, I did go back and
I
watch the
did
part
come
I missed.
Oh, I did not. I woke up and I'm like, well, one, the movie's still going. 2, what did I miss? 3,
Doesn't
oh,
matter.
nothing.
so I
Okay.
came close to falling asleep a couple times, but I didn't actually do it. But so anyway, so like the first hour or so, I thought there were some pretty funny moments. I thought the way that they were kind of satirizing the different characters, like each actor was playing like a very specific type of person or type of actor. And there were definitely some moments that made me laugh. I'm a big fan of Keegan-Michael Key, so just by him talking, I usually laugh because his voice kind of cracks me up. But the 2 hours felt like 5. It felt too long. It dragged on. And it just, my biggest thing when I'm watching something that I know is done by Judd Apatow, I generally am expecting it to be funny and consistently funny. And this wasn't. Like this, I just found myself being bored after a while.
Well, it was trying to do too much. It was like, it's like
Yeah.
he had this idea for this thing, and like who knows how many people, especially after the actors got into it, jumped in, were like, and what if we do this thing, and what if we do that thing, and like what if this, but it felt like
David Duchovny doing the rewrites.
right,
in the movie.
right, exactly, or like everything, all of Fred Armisen stuff. Like this is a massive
Yeah.
cast, and actually, I will say, oftentimes when there's such a massive cast, the movie is shit. Right? If you have 2 or 3 funny people, but this whole cast was like star-studded hitters, right?
Yeah.
But But just to go back to like, since we're doing plot and the actual script, I wrote down same recycled jokes over and over again. From like the beginning to the end, the same jokes were being made. And it was like, you're hitting us over the head with this. I don't care anymore. It was like a lot of frenzied dialogue and
Like the sitcom Friends, or like frenzy, like inside joke.
no, like frenzied.
Oh, frenzied.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like Friends E.
Oh, no. Frenzied, like chaotic almost.
No, I got it. I'm done.
Did no one tell you that life was going to be this way, Travis?
I will say, though, one amazing part about this movie that I absolutely did like laugh out loud, as well as like my jaw dropped and I was like, what the actual fuck, is when Leslie Mann's hand gets blown off. I died. And I was like, oh my God, what? But also like, it was such a great moment because I just didn't expect it at all.
Yeah, agreed.
I cracked up the time that I laughed the hardest, and Brian, I'd be interested to know what your since Kai said when her time was. I like hysterically laughed when they were sick and climbing the cliff.
Oh yeah. I actually really laughed
yeah.
about that too. That part was really funny.
And she's
Just spinning in the middle of nowhere. I actually did write down, loved all the bits with the green screen guys who were just like kind of hanging in the background. And like the parts that I really thoroughly enjoyed were the parts where, you know, that Judd Apatow, as a filmmaker, all these ridiculous things that people that are or have ever experienced film sets are just like on a regular basis outside of COVID are like, this is fucking weird. Like, what are we doing? Right. And I thought the best humor came out of those places. Right. What are you like? What is
I just keep seeing her body spinning.
Yeah.
I laughed clearly I'm still laughing about it, but I laughed for so long on that little bit.
One of my favorite parts was early on. I think it was the first time you see like the Cliff Beast World movie where it's all like all the effects and stuff, and then it's the first time they cut to the two guys dangling in these fake like Barney looking things in front of the green screen. I just lost it because of just how crappy it looks in real life, but how slick it looks in the movie. I thought that part was great.
I also really appreciated the humor around the Beast. What is it called? Something Beast movie? Cliff Beast. Yeah. The humor around each of the stereotypical characters in Cliff Beast and all the dialogue of the actual Cliff Beast.
It's based on Jurassic World.
Oh, right.
Because Jurassic World, well, it's like very loosely based on it because Jurassic World shot during the pandemic. They were the first production that like started.
Oh,
and Jurassic World did this. Like they put their entire cast and crew in a hotel and they had like multiple outbreaks.
Got it. That actually makes this film funnier to me. Yeah. I sort of thought there were too many characters, too many players, too many things going on that it was hard to follow all the plots, and that's why the movie was so long and it was too convoluted. But however, I also appreciated seeing some of the smaller characters, like the PAs. I wrote down Harry Traveldwin, I think is his name, who plays Gunther, one of the PAs.
Like the real wirely looking guy
Gunther
with the British accent?
the white looking guy?
Yeah, the British white guy, yeah.
I cracked up
was
when he was talking about the like sexual assault or like how he's like you might look like this. You might look like this.
Yeah, right. When you, showing so how you can give each other eyes.
Going off, I agree with you. And going off of that point, Kai, I think, well, I wish, like, because the cast was so big, I wish they didn't have famous people in it. I feel like this movie would have benefited so
that there were more Harry Traveldwins,
or if they just like picked all of like the top people at UCB right now and like had them play like caricatures of like famous people, because then like you wouldn't have to worry about like, is this actor getting enough screen time? Is this actor getting enough like blah 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 blah? And we wouldn't have these like preconceived like notions about these people that are bringing. Like, I feel like we think it's a really big ensemble is because we know every single person that's in it.
Right.
But like if we had a big ensemble with like a bunch of unknowns, I don't feel like we would have the reaction of like, oh, the cast is too
I
big.
still would
'Cause
have.
they're just like players. They're not like.
I think I still would have, just only because we follow all of their plots out to the end, and that's what made it feel like, oh my God, who's our lead character here that we're watching from start to finish? Who is our protagonist?
COVID.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it was like that.
If you had to, who would you say is the main? For both
Did you
of
say you said COVID?
I said COVID.
Is that your serious answer though?
Yes and no.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like we start
If
with.
you had to pick,
If I had to pick, I
a
would pick
plot A storyline.
What's her name? The
Karen Gillian.
who?
Karen Gillian.
Maybe. Yes,
Yeah.
she's the one. She's the actress I didn't know, but I think I should know because I think she's in like a bunch of superhero movies I don't watch.
Yeah, Karen Gillian.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. I think she would be but only because we like start with her, is why I would say that.
I feel like we go back to her the most though.
We do go back to her the most.
Because she has the whole thing with the soccer player and then.
Yeah, and I like the development of like then the girl gets her lines because she's been complaining, and then the dinosaur does a cute TikTok video with her, and Friend Armison's whole bit about like trying to be the serious director on this set. So there like I saw what it wanted to be. There was a lot of humor, but it was like nobody edited this script and went, okay, you've thrown all that you could at the wall, right? That's what this movie looked like. Yeah. It was like, we've taken everything we think is funny about making movies, also everything that we think is bizarre about making movies, and then also everything that's bizarre and funny about making movies during a pandemic. We've thrown every single idea at the wall. Let's see which one lands. They didn't say, let's see which one lands. They went, we're going to land all of them. Yeah. And they're all in this movie. And I think it would have been a funnier movie had they peeled some of that away and stripped some of that away and really just like, okay, what are we doing here and who's our character?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're going to like beat a dead horse on this about how like this just needed to be cut tight down.
Yeah.
Like in every aspect of it, the script, the edit, like it needed to be like a quick 80 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I feel like Fred Armisen was actually underused because some of his scenes were some of my favorite. Like the one where he just randomly appears when Karen Gillian's in the pool and he just randomly shows up. That stuff cracked me up.
Yeah, just like,
I absolutely loved the this is a dinosaur mating.
Oh.
Yes. And then they actually, when they showed the real, quote unquote, real cliff beast, they were actually using his sound effects of like of the dinosaurs diving. That was very funny. Yeah, that was very funny. Fred Armisen's great though. I love Fred Armisen.
Yeah, I really did not like the thing with Keegan-Michael Key's character and the helicopter. That was just.
I didn't care for Keegan-Michael Key at all in this.
Well,
like
we should get to acting.
Yeah, I was just about to say that this is just becoming a segue into the acting because like we honestly don't know where the script began and ended and where improv like started.
100%.
You know, and like that's going to be the hard part with like deciphering this. But like in terms of the wrapping up the script and like plot and whatnot, we all agree. Well, actually, no, we don't agree. I think it was a stupid plot. Like,
100%.
No, but okay, so you agree?
Well, I think it could have been like the original idea is good. What
Agreed.
the plot, whole plot actually ended up being, stupid. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so then
because
we
I
do
agree.
disagree because I think the plot is stupid.
So do I.
And it, but like
think
even from the
original
beginning, like I
idea-
did not like.
So you didn't even like the
And
idea
it's
of
part,
the movie.
and I will be again fully transparent in that like I don't know if I
slept
could.
through half of it.
No. I only slept for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm serious. I don't know if my judgment of that is because it's connected to COVID. And like, I'm immediately like, I don't know, maybe it was like, what if this was like them doing a film in the middle of like SARS. You know, we're like 20 years away from it, and like it's a little bit different. You know,
Right.
like would I still have the same like feeling towards it if it wasn't COVID? So I honestly don't know the answer to that, but like I do know that like I did think that the plot was stupid to like be dealing with COVID at least right now. And I'm like, maybe if they let this marinate for another 5 years, we would have been able to cut through like, oh, this is stupid, like,
Right.
and this
Well,
is
and this is another Netflix movie. So that goes back to, are they just pushing out content? And this really was not ready to go. And had they waited and let it marinate, it could have been a better film. But it's also, it's a film that like, it's on Netflix. Whereas this could have been a comedy blockbuster summer movie in the theaters back in the day too. Which if it had been that and they were putting the money out there to release it in the theaters, maybe it would have also had more restrictions on it.
well, it should have come out in theaters. When did this come out? It came out this year, right?
April?
Yeah, like a
So like
a month ago,
Netflix
maybe.
released
March
Power
or
of the
April.
Dog in the theaters. Like I get it, it's their Oscar movie or whatever, but like they could have put this in the theaters
Yeah.
if they wanted to.
Right.
But they specifically chose not to. And I don't really know why. Other than like they knew it was bad.
Other than they were like, oh, we let you have too much free reign.
Yeah, like the hard thing, I mean, no, this is more of a technical thing, but I'm like, whose fault is it inevitably? Like in the end, like whose fault is it? Is it like Judd Apatow like got complete creative control and was like, no, I want all this in? Or was it Netflix? I was like, look, we gave you a big ass paycheck for all these people, and all these people need to be in it at least 15 minutes.
Right.
You know, like, and we don't know that.
Right,
But
right.
clearly someone is to blame for this. But anyways, we were naturally going on this segue towards the acting section.
Yes.
So favorite players, least favorite players.
Well, I was going to agree with you. I did not enjoy Keegan-Michael Key in this. And don't get me wrong, we're both Aries babies. And I'm just like, oh, my fellow funny Aries actor. No, I used to watch Key and Peele a bunch. I've like always thought he was really funny. But I also, the last couple of things I've seen him in, it's the same. Like it's just, he's the same in everything that he does, and it's the same reactions. And there's a lot of actors, specifically comedian actors, who that's it. That's their shtick, and they do the same thing, and everybody loves their shtick, so they keep doing it. So I get that, but I don't know. But then they have to have a really good plot line, and I didn't think his plot line was good enough in this to carry his weak shtick, if that makes sense.
That's my thing. Like, I didn't necessarily think that he was bad as much as his whole plot line sucked. Like the whole thing with him creating the religion or whatever he was calling it, and just like it just was dumb. I just thought his
Yeah.
whole plot line was dumb. So like I felt like he played his part well, but he didn't have a lot to work with.
Right. Yeah. That's what I agree with that.
I
Yeah.
can't. I'm looking at his filmography right now. The last thing I saw that I liked him in was Toy Story 4.
What?
Toy Story 4.
Oh, I didn't see Toy Story.
What?
4. I know I probably should see Toy Story 4.
So, did you have a favorite player though?
I'm going to the cast list right now because I just
Brian,
wanted
did
to,
you have a
like-
favorite and least favorite?
I had two
Other than everyone.
favorites. Yeah, I had two favorites. One, as I already said, was Fred Armisen, who I felt like should have been in it more. And then I was also a big fan of Pedro Pascal's
Yes.
character. I couldn't remember his name earlier. 'Cause I just called him the Game of Thrones guy, but I thought he
He's
was.
in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah,
he is. He was in Game of Thrones. He played one of the Oberyn Martell. He was in one season, I think. But I thought
Sorry
he was,
to all the Game of Thrones fans out there that are probably flipping
They're
their
already
tables that I
writing
didn't
letters.
know. Yeah,
Right.
that I didn't know that.
They've canceled.
I thought
I
he
don't
was-
watch it. Didn't watch it.
Yeah, I thought his character was very funny though, and like even like the accent that his character portrayed in the Cliff Beast, which was different
Yes.
from than what he portrayed in the rest
Right,
of it. Which
yeah,
I thought it was
liked
very
that
funny.
too.
Yeah, I put the note down that like Pedro Pascal is working. Like he was just in the Nicolas Cage movie too. What's the name of that movie?
Was there just a glitch in the Matrix? What just happened?
Yeah, that was a very long pause.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah.
And I thought he was like one of the best things about that movie. But I wrote like he's doing a really good Joaquin Phoenix. No one's listening to me right now, so I hope the listeners are listening to me.
Joaquin
listening
Phoenix.
to you.
I heard it.
Yeah, I looked up because I was like, what the hell do you mean by that?
Like I felt like his whole character is based off of Joaquin Phoenix.
Really?
You didn't think that? Like, because he was like this weird vegan dude that like everyone's trying to talk to, and he's like, I don't care about you. I don't want to talk to you.
No,
I'll
absolutely
be honest,
not.
that thought never crossed my mind.
No,
What?
I've actually met Joaquin Phoenix a couple of times, and that's not at all who he
Humble
is.
brag.
Oh my
Humble
God.
brag. Well, catering, so I should say. So I
Yes,
don't know if
so
I
he- so
technically
he is
met
kind-
him. I've
so
been
he
in
is kind to
rooms
the
with
people
him
that-
when served him puff
I was about to
pastries.
say
on
he's kind to the people that serve him.
You're totally right. That I don't know what I was trying to sound like there. Okay, continue.
Well, I served Joaquin Phoenix one time, and he flipped the tray out of my hand. So like,
Bullshit.
yep.
Well, Trav, that's because you were terrible at your job.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, okay, so I'm gonna go with I did not actually enjoy Fred Armisen. There were moments of Fred Armisen that I really did enjoy in this, like the pool scene, thought was hysterical. But Fred Armisen felt the same way that Keegan-Michael Key felt to me, of like, okay, we understand you are who you are and you only do that one damn thing. Can you give us something else, please? And don't get me wrong. Again, I love Fred Armisen. Like, I think he's great. But like by the end of it too, I'm just like, when he's out at the helicopter and like, I'm like, do you guys even know why you're in this scene? What your motivations are? What is happening?
But that to me is more script than it is the acting.
No, you're just saying
though.
line. Yeah, but if you're a comedian, and especially because then I question like how much of this is improv or not, that you can. I don't know. I just didn't find
you
it
know?
to be very
I
funny.
mean, I
don't
agree
know.
with you. My favorite characters in this entire movie are actually everyone that is not famous.
Yes, the guy I mentioned earlier, Harry Travolta.
Him.
I gotta figure out how to say this guy's name because
Yeah.
I'm just butchering it.
Sorry,
every time.
Harry.
But Harry, you were
Him.
great.
When Karen Gillian first gets there, and then the one guy in the suit is doing the COVID test, and then he's like
yeah.
100, 99,
Yeah.
98.
Oh, yeah,
And then he's like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I like cracked up at that.
Yeah.
And then
Wait, give him a name. The one guy. Because
Was that Samson Ko?
Samson Ko.
maybe.
Yeah, Bola.
Yeah. Samson Kaio was amazing. Also, I don't even remember who they were. But when they are getting into that first room and the like bellhops or like servers or something like that, one of the servers is like, oh my gosh, they're all here. This is going to be amazing. And then the other server is like, you'll soon learn to hate these people. Right. And I'm like, that resonates with my soul.
That
and like
with anybody that's worked in Hollywood in
as like a
service
server or
positions.
like catering or anything like that. I was like, yeah, you're so right.
Yeah.
You know what else I thought was pretty funny was I'm trying to find her name, the woman that was in the last Borat movie.
Oh yeah, Annika.
Maria Bakalova. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought she was great
Her
too.
whole thing with Pedro Pascal was pretty funny. That whole dynamic.
Yeah, I liked that. It was odd, but it was sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't like the whole, I just thought it was forced. Like, okay, there was too many montages in this movie, and then they're like, and we have to throw in the drug scene where they're all on drugs, right? So the whole Pedro Pascal montage, TikTok drug scene, I thought was just like way too
When are they all on drugs?
forced. They're all
They all go
railing
to his
lines
room
of
and
coke.
do a whole bunch of drugs. That's probably when he fell asleep.
And that's when he like
Yeah,
that's when he
like
passes
fell
out, right?
asleep, yeah.
And like they think he's dead.
Right, yeah.
That legitimately is when I fell asleep. I
'Cause you're
like
this is ridiculous.
I woke up
can't
and they're like
anymore.
trying to save him, and I'm like, what happened? Why is he dying? And then I was like, should I rewind it? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I could probably figure out. Like, he's probably close to death for some reason.
Right. I did. Okay, I will say the one thing that I truly thought was funny and I thought she did a great job at it, was Kate McKinnon playing the
Oh, I love
executive
Kate
producer
McKinnon
that
so
comes
much.
in. Yeah, she keeps
Yeah.
coming in, and when she's out on her boat and she's like, "You better fix it," and then I can't remember what actress she like calls out that she's like, "So
Mel
and so
Gibson.
is here." Is it Mel
Is
Gibson?
that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's a female actress, and she's like,
Oh.
"I love her," or whatever. And it's just funny because that's the catharsis part about being in COVID that I wanted, of like, yeah, fuck you, celebrities, or like people with all this money who are just out, who are like telling all the little people, quote unquote me, that like we have to stay inside and this and that, and you're out on your boat in the middle,
Yeah.
like, it was like I loved that they brought that
Like,
aspect into
that
it.
god awful celebrity mashup where they sing Imagine at the beginning of the pandemic. I don't know if y'all remember that.
No.
I don't remember that.
It does
What?
not
I think
sound
I'm.
good.
I think I'm. That's probably something.
Oh my
I would have
gosh.
tried to not watch on purpose.
Gal-
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot got a bunch of like celebrity friends, and they all sang Imagine by John Lennon, and like it was supposed to be like a song for hope in this like trying times, but like everyone's singing from like their mansion,
Right.
and
right.
they're all in their individual like Zoom like things or whatever, and
Right.
everyone's just like we could get through this together.
Yeah.
But it's just like so tone deaf, and like
Right.
Yeah.
we're literally, it was like the height of COVID where like I remember I was still in New York at the time, and I think New York we were having like 1,000 deaths a day, and it was like no one wants to see rich people sing about
Right.
Imagine
Yeah.
we could get through this.
Right. I also, if I had known, I probably avoided it knowing that it was the song Imagine, because side note, I can't listen to that song ever again in my life because I was in a children's play dressed up as Bruiser the Rottweiler, and I got to sing Imagine at the end, at the closing of that show, and it's a show about cats becoming friends with dogs, and so at the
Sounds
end of it
fun.
I would sing Imagine in my dog voice over
Oh,
and
God.
over and over again, and I no longer can listen to that song. Shout out Los Angeles Children's Theater.
That's fair. Real quick, back to acting for the bubble. I did love John Cena as the stunt coordinator.
Yes, that
Just
whole
remote
like
from like the iPad or whatever
Oh
it was.
yeah, oh
that-
yeah, yeah. I
that-
forgot
that
about
whole
that.
bit was actually really funny, and like he comes back, he's like, how'd it go? It like glitched out and it like froze, and like someone's like dead.
Dead, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I will say, because the more that we go through this and we're all like, oh, and that part, oh, and that part, oh, and that part, that before I gave the critique of like they just threw every idea at the board and then shot it, which didn't make for a good movie, but it did clearly make for moments where all of us were like, ah, ha, and that's kind of fun. So
That's
so-
why it's a good bad movie. It's really a bad movie, but it's like good and fine, and like you could take a nap during
Exactly.
it, and,
Yeah,
like,
right,
Still
okay.
not lose anything.
Yeah, okay. I get maybe I'm gonna have to change, because I was going that it was what did I say, a bad
said
good
bad, good
movie?
movie.
Because I was going it's bad, but I get where it could have been good. But no, I think I would switch actually to a bad. No,
Oh, you
a,
have to
a good
hold that
bad.
until the end.
Sorry, we're not there yet. But wait, one more thing with the acting and plot. Chris would suck. What
Chris would suck what?
How do you say his last name?
Witaski.
Witaski.
Witaski. It's Witaski or Witaski.
Witaski. Chris Witaski playing Josh.
Just by his headshot, I don't like him. But who was he in the movie?
He's been in a bunch of stuff, small roles here and there, but he played Karen Gillian's.
Oh, that guy.
And I didn't like that whole side plot.
Yeah,
Maybe it was because I
dumb.
didn't believe him. And normally when I've seen him in other stuff, he plays the very like happy, gregarious, go lucky, dumb guy, and that kind of works for his bit of comedy. He's in the Progressive ad right now about not becoming your parents.
Oh.
He's always
is that him?
yeah, that's him. And
I didn't know that.
I swear I used to like see him around UCB. He's a very familiar person in my life. I'm not exactly sure why. So maybe I personally knew him at some point.
Side note, and Brian, I hope you don't take this as an insult, and I hope we're still friends after this.
We
But
probably
the
won't be.
progressive the progressive ads where there's this. Have you seen the one with the guy who has the old glasses and he looks like Brian?
What?
Do you know which one I'm talking
Yes,
about?
yes, I do. Oh
I don't
my
know which
God,
one you're talking
that's
about.
so funny.
And then
Everyone, okay, you
There's
know
the
what? We
one-
need to do a social media
Yeah.
post, which is a picture of Brian next
and then
to
a picture of this
that guy.
actor who's
Hold
so
on.
you know
How
the
do I even-
progressive. Brian, you know the progressive ads that we're talking about, right? Where like
Yeah.
millennials are becoming their parents.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Is it progressive? It is
yeah,
progressive.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
The one that I think about Brian the most.
Shout out progressive if you want to sponsor this
Yeah, yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. The one that I think of Brian the most is the grocery store one where he's preparing for the big game, which it's also because Brian, as probably the listeners probably know or will know soon, Brian is a huge Eagles fan and he like loves that team with his whole heart.
I'm sitting in front of an Eagles green wall.
Yeah, this is very true. But like there's a commercial where he's like preparing for the big game and he's at the grocery store with the shopping cart and then the guy's like, you only need one bag of chips, you don't need the variety pack.
Right.
And then at the end,
I don't
the guy
remember that
goes up
one.
to the supermarket worker and he's like, Brian over on aisle 4 did really well. You should tell him. And the guy's like, you don't need to tell them that they're doing a good job.
I don't know
Looks
if I know that one.
just like you.
So
Just
he,
like you.
he sounds very handsome.
Uh-huh.
Ouch. Also, so we were talking about the side plot of Karen Gillan's husband or partner or
Boyfriend,
whatever he
yeah.
was. I also thought the whole thing with her and the soccer player was just kind of dumb. I didn't really care about it. I also felt like it was kind of implausible. I mean, the whole movie is ridiculous, but the fact that they seemingly had rented out this entire hotel to Bubble, and then all of a sudden there's just a soccer team staying the floor above them.
Yeah, and why is that even a part of the plot? Like, why
Yeah,
does that need
exactly.
to be in the movie whatsoever?
Yeah, that was just kind of dumb.
I think across the board we could have. Do we see anyone's personal life other than hers?
Well, sort of with Leslie Mann and David Duchovny with their son.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
they're.
also really dumb and unnecessary. For
Yeah.
I was
the
gonna
movie.
say, I think like they could cut all the personal storylines, in my opinion, like outside of the bubble, because it's
It
like
was irrelevant for them to even be
And-
a couple.
And those are the parts that make him. Those were the parts that made me be like, okay, I don't care, Hollywood celebrities. You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just an actress who has had a string of bad films down on her, like that's compelling enough to like, because she's like risking her life to go out in the middle of this pandemic just to get her career back. Like that's compelling enough. We don't need to have like this boyfriend that's like essentially staying in her house with another woman and she's still calling him for some reason.
Yeah, and the thing with the
Yeah.
kids where they're like all of a sudden they don't know who she is.
Yeah,
like
none
Yeah.
of that needs to be in it.
No.
Like she's fine by herself without having this like male like storyline.
bazing.
I mean, Ed,
Travis always looking out for the women.
I try.
I'm over here like, I don't know.
But yeah, like her fighting for her career is compelling enough without like the two guys that she has to like be with.
Agreed.
I rest my case.
That's all I have to say about that.
All right, any final thoughts on acting before we move to the very, very short category of technical?
Very, very short category. No.
Brian?
Nope, I got zilch.
I will say I loved Leslie Mann in this. I just always like her.
It's really hard for me to
Yeah.
dislike her in anything.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and the how she dealt with her hand being blown off. Just again,
That
I
was-
gotta.
that was
That was
so
the
funny.
best part of the whole movie.
That was
And
so
I
funny.
actually will say, what baby Apatow? What is this
Iris.
daughter's
Maud.
name? Iris Apatow.
Oh,
She.
is it Iris?
Did you say Maud?
I thought it was Maud. Isn't it Maud?
No, I think it's Iris. Does he have a Maud?
I don't know.
I don't know
Oh,
any of their kids' names other than
it
Iris
is
because I
Iris.
looked at her.
Yeah,
No, I'm
she.
not
I
lying.
actually. I thought she was perfect for the like TikTok character.
Oh my gosh! Before we
I
finish,
don't.
There is a
yeah.
Maud Apatow, by the way.
Wife,
There is.
daughter, son, cat,
What?
dog, bird.
No,
Just
she's-
wondering who Maud Apatow is.
It's a daughter. It's a daughter.
Okay. Is that the daughter that's in Euphoria?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm already back looking at Ira. I was trying to figure out which one was the older or younger one.
Shout out to the one that's in Euphoria. She's freaking great.
Okay, so the movie. So I was looking up if I've
Got
ever
off on a
seen.
weird tangent.
I was looking up if I've ever seen a movie where I dislike Leslie Mann in it. Excuse me, and the Change Up and Drill Bit Taylor.
I never saw Drill Bit Taylor.
But sorry, before we move on, I did want to say that the first TikTok, when they're like all dancing in like the lobby and whatnot, it's really good.
Oh, the very
It
first
is.
one
Yeah.
is great.
It's so
it's
good.
really
Yeah,
good.
which
Like-
is why I was like, then when they used it again, I was like, no, now you ruined it because
Right.
you gave us the brilliant moment.
It's along to Boss Bitch by Doja Cat.
Yeah.
It like I was looking at it and I'm like, damn, do I need to get a TikTok?
No, ditto. I had that same moment.
I was like,
TikTok must have sponsored that film.
yeah, I'm like, is TikTok really this fun?
TikTok, if you want to sponsor us, we will
Yeah.
also start a TikTok.
We will start a TikTok if you want to sponsor this podcast.
I don't know
We
how
will do
good
this
it will
podcast
be.
on TikTok.
True.
Is that your foot or your cat? Oh.
This is my cat.
It's very unfortunate placing.
This is my foot. This is my cat.
Still very unfortunate placing for the cat licking itself.
Brian's on a screen from Texas, so we can only see so much of what's going on.
And his cat is on his lap, but we can't see what the cat is doing other than licking.
I feel like we've spiraled. I feel like we have spiraled way downhill. Can we get to technical?
So, if you haven't caught on to our podcast genius for this episode, we're actually mimicking the plot of The Bubble, where we're just going on a bunch of different segues.
You're
and
so right.
Yep.
I think
That's
we
true.
can't.
that was the
talk
plan.
about
What do you mean you're
anything-
so right? That
Oh,
was the plan the whole time,
right,
Kai.
correct.
The listeners knew, like, they're smart. They're catching up.
Rabbits are creatures that live in a
That
hat.
was a glitch in the Matrix.
I was trying to go on some other
Get
random
it? Because
plot.
there's rabbits, and you go down the rabbit hole if you take the pillow, and there's the Matrix. Okay. Okay. Last.
You sounded like one of the NPR ladies. Yes.
NPR?
NPR, the Saturday Night Live sketch with the NPR ladies.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
times. Good times. Yeah.
Okay. So,
And technical.
yes, we are going to be moving on to the final category, which is
Technical.
technical.
Excellent.
Is there any words on technical from either Kylena
So-
or Brian?
I wrote
Hi.
down at one point, this movie bores me to the point I haven't even really noticed the editing, music, or cinematography.
I think we should just end technical right there. It's perfect.
Look, I
I'm
legitimately
100%
couldn't
okay
tell
with
you
it.
what the
Yeah,
score
me
was like.
too, man.
I
We're
couldn't
just
tell you
gonna-
what the score was like. I have no idea.
I don't either.
Okay, so that is it for the category of technical.
Love it.
Has anyone's decisions changed? Again, I could go first. I had said that it was a good, bad movie, which I stand by. Brian, you said that it was a bad, good movie.
Stick to my guns, bro. I'm not a flip flopper.
Well, I am a flip flopper. Yeah, I mean, I was confused in the beginning, but totally, I think this is a what did you say? It's a
Good,
good,
bad.
bad. Yeah,
Wait,
it's a
what did,
bad.
what
this
did I
is a
say? I
bad
said
What are the
bad,
options?
good movie.
This is a bad movie, but I was entertained through parts of it.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's a good bad movie.
I could imagine if this became like I doubt it will be, but if it became like a cult classic, I could imagine like a cult cutting of this where it's just the good bits.
Yeah, totally. And I would actually
Yeah.
love. There are so many moments that I did really enjoy in this. I mean, we named a bunch of them, but overall, I was just like, oh.
Yeah, it kind of dragged.
By the end, what?
I said maybe I'll
It
spend
dragged
like
just like that sound
Yeah,
effect.
right.
yeah. Cool. Well, we had a flip flopper, only the second time this has ever happened. which is third time this has happened.
You know what's funny is we don't know what order we're putting these podcast
Mm-hmm.
episodes, so this might actually be the 10th time this has happened, depending on what time this episode airs. Yeah.
In the chronological time of reality, this is the third time in which we have had a flip-flopper.
I don't know if anybody is going to be able to understand this episode whatsoever. Is that just how I'm feeling? My mind is
It's
spinning.
very meta. We didn't understand this movie,
No.
and they shouldn't understand this episode.
Great. Perfect.
And with that, we
True.
want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of Good, Bad, Bad, Good, where we discussed the bubble. If you want to yell at us or tell us why we're wrong,
Why is it always that?
I don't know, because
Why
it's social
can't-
media.
This is true. If you
That's
want
fair.
to love us and feed our narcissistic egos,
Yes, if you would like to tell us how amazing we are at our jobs, or
Yeah. No, that's it. Just, yeah. I like everybody telling me how great I am.
well, okay. If you wanna find Brian on his social media platforms and tell him that he is great, you could do that. But if you want to yell at us as a whole, you could yell at the podcast. You could find the podcast on all social media platforms at Good Bad Bad Good. And if you want to find and if you want to find me on all social media platforms, it is at Travis.Orozco. And if you want to find Brian,
Well, I'm not sure, because if people are going to yell at me, I don't want to give out my handle. If you want to sing my praises, it's at Bossip, BOSSIP. If you want to yell at me, it's at _ Travis Orozco.
or
Or whatever you
if
said.
you want to be thoroughly confused about life, go
Get
to
a hold of
bossip.com to find
Yes,
Brian there.
that
as
is
well.
true.
Bossip.com.
You will be confused.
And you can find me under KAILENAMAI, Kailenamai on the grams.
Just on the grams.
Just on the grams.
Yeah. She is on Twitter. She does
Am
still
I?
follow me,
I do.
but it has not been active since like 2013.
2013, yeah, probably.
And with that, thank you for listening again. We can never thank you enough. And until next time, when we do a movie that we have not decided yet.
Great. What?
Bye.
Bye.
What a weird episode.
Good Bad Bad Good is an Ex Nihilo production. Original theme music and sound engineering done by Jen Star Hacker. Find her at hackersoundmusic.com. Opinions expressed are solely that of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of any entity they represent.